Welcome to a summer edition of Channel 6 Scoreboard. My name's Kelly Hayes, and I'm going to be your host. And today we're joined with Chris Caldwell and Mitchell Morgan, and we're going to talk about some UCA volleyball. Guys, the 2013 UCA volleyball season was again one for the record books, going undefeated in conference play and winning the Southland regular season and tournament titles. Did you have a feeling from the first game of the season that they could accomplish all these feats?
Yeah, I did, because they went 30-5 in 2012. They had a really good year that year, made it to the tournament again, and played a really good team in Washington. So I figured with all the players they had coming back that they could be even better against the opponents that they played in 2013. They finished the year 29-4 with wins over Kansas. They lost to Penn State once, and they won the national championship. So they played some really good teams. So I figured after the first couple of games that they had a chance to go really deep.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, considering their first game was against, at the time, 20th ranked Kansas, and they definitely won that game and won it convincingly. A really good team. Another big conference team from the Big 12. The game against Penn State, they handled them really well for 2 sets, keeping it close, going 20-25 in the first set, 22-25 in the second set. And you always know that McFatrick's has a really talented team come in. He's a very talented coach, very smart, and knows how to coach his teams to win. So with McFatrick at the helm and the caliber of athletes that the volleyball team has, you always expect the Sugar Bears to do well.
Well, winning those games early in the season definitely gives you confidence for the regular season. Well, no team in the SLC got Central Arkansas to 5 sets until Northwestern State did in the tournament championship game. Did you think this is where the magical season was going to end?
I definitely did not, because if you look at the season stats overall, just as a complete, stat, the team finished most game by the third set. Like, they were in and out 17 times in the season. They finished each match by the third set, and then 11 times in the season they finished it by the end of the fourth set. So I really didn't expect that to be the end of the season. You do worry about that kind of thing when you're watching, a team like that. There's always the underdog that comes from behind and does something that nobody expects them to do, but definitely didn't expect Central Arkansas to lose at all in the 5th set.
Yeah, it is definitely really surprised to see them go 5 sets, especially since they went all year without doing it. But it was the last game in the tournament, so, they were tired. They were exhausted playing all those games in the tournament. And, Northwestern State kind of had, a chance to see how UCA was going to play, so they kind of maybe was their kryptonite to getting them to 5 sets. But UCA overcome that and made the tournament and played Purdue really well. But so I don't see it being a big deal that it ended right there, because they had a magical run throughout the whole year. So, I'm surprised it ended right there, but I'm not bummed that it did.
Yeah, it's something you see in any conference sport that has a conference tournament at the end of their season. If you look back at the game on November 12th when Northwestern State played, Central Arkansas, they took them to 4 sets. And even at that time, 4 sets was really not something Central Arkansas had been through, unless they were playing opponents like Kansas or Penn State or something like that. And so even back then, I thought there was a chance that Northwestern could have done it, but when you see a team a few times in the season before you even play them in the conference tournament, anything's possible.
Yeah, they won the game against Northwestern State, even though they went to 5 sets. So I technically wouldn't say that's where the magical season ended. I would say it ended when they lost to Purdue. But taking a team or having them go in 5 sets and winning really shows that UCA can play up to 5 sets. Like we've seen in the past, they either swept teams or played 4 sets or beat them in 3 sets. But to play them in 5 sets and actually win that shows a lot of they can go through adversity and win games. So it really spoke a lot of, really looked good for the team.
Yeah.
Well, as you guys mentioned, UCA played Purdue in the first round of the NCAA tournament, but ended up losing that game. What does UCA have to do to get out of that first round of the tournament?
They just got to play how they play in the regular season. In the regular season they play feisty, just really good volleyball. They have, a lot of team chemistry. Their coach is really good. They just got to play like they do in the regular season. The regular season they played, top-tier teams. They played Kansas and beat them. They played Penn State pretty good in the first 2 sets. So don't let the NCAA tournament be any different. When they played Purdue, they just kind of seemed flustered. Yes, they were playing a big team and such a big tournament, and they lost, 3 sets, or they lost his first 3 sets. So just, be yourself, play like you would in the regular season. Don't let the tournament title phase you any, and just play, because Coach McFatrick plays these big teams at the beginning of the year to prepare them for the tournament, hoping that they don't think about the tournament, just play the team. And I think that's what it's going to take to get over it.
I can agree with you to an extent. When you get into the tournament atmosphere, as an athlete of any sport, anybody that's played in a tournament, you know that you have to up your level of intensity and you have to change the way that you play. And so I agree that they should play how they've always played. They've always worked well together. They've always listened to the coach. They've always made sure that they were on top of their game. But they also need to bring a higher level of intensity because the teams that you're going against aren't the Southland Conference, and they aren't some of these smaller Division I schools that you're playing like Arkansas Pine Bluff. And when you go into a tournament atmosphere, both teams are talented. You know this because you both made the tournament. The tournament field isn't something that anybody can just walk into. And so when they get there, not only should they play the way they've been playing all season, but they should prepare themselves mentally for that kind of challenge because the past 2 years, they've played some very talented teams in the NCAA tournament, and they've gone down in the first round. To get past that first round, you have to accept the fact that you are playing somebody that could be more talented than you, but you have to push past that because it's what you want. And you see that all the time in other tournaments, such as the men's basketball tournament. There are upsets left and right, and that didn't happen all the time until smaller universities started to feel that they had a chance to play with the big dogs because they worked just as hard to get there. So it's going to take, like Mitchell said, playing the same way you do all year long, but it's also going to take that little extra drive and heart and know that you want it.
Mm-hmm. The SLC Player of the Year and Setter of the Year, Marissa Collins, finished her amazing career at Central Arkansas this past season. How do you think Coach McFatrick will replace her?
That's somebody you're going to have a hard time to replace at all. I mean, when it comes to Marissa Collins, that's a player who you would think was born to set. Like, this girl is just beyond talented in so many different areas, and when you watch her play, she has a love for the sport that you see in professional athletes or you see in some of the top collegiate athletes in any sport. And to replace her leadership on top of that is going to be even harder because she is literally the rock of that volleyball program. And it's tough to say because as someone who's watched the Sugar Bears play volleyball left and right and literally watched Marissa Collins for the past 3 years, you don't want to see her go, but you also know in your heart that you can't replace a player like that. Stats or anything doesn't even matter. It's that type of player is hard to come by.
Yeah, she's going to be, Coach has got his work cut out for him, finding somebody to replace her. I don't think it's going to be that one person that can replace her. I think it's a whole team of players that can replace her, or he's going to have to find somebody else that's really good in a statistical category and have them stand out. She was really good in assists, averaging a double figure almost every game in assists. So having somebody that can do that is really hard to find, especially since, oh my gosh, like she was really good at it. Having her is such a rare find. So I think he's going to have to find somebody else that's good in some other category and have them stand out to where they can take charge of the game and win games for him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there were some other players that also contributed to the assist category, but all of them combined didn't even match up to Marissa Collins. She had over 1,300 assists for the season, and you're looking at other players. Paige Gantar had 29, Alicia Dietrich had 24, and you've got Shelby Behringer at 27. That's nowhere close to the amount that Marissa Collins put up by herself. So I've already said it several times, but at the risk of sounding, repetitive, that's someone that you're not going to be able to replace.
Kind of like the Megan Herbert of women's basketball at UCA.
Yeah.
That's a player you're never going to be able to replace. Well, in addition to Collins, the Sugar Bears also lost 6 seniors from last year's season. Is this a rebuilding year, or will underclassmen step up to the starting roles?
I guess it depends on the schedule and see who we play, but I do think it's going to be a rebuilding year. But he does have some players coming back from last year that had crucial starts that played against the big teams. But we do have some younger underclassmen that are going to come in and play a lot of minutes. So you can see it as a rebuilding year. I think it depends on the schedule. We will definitely compete in the Southland Conference. We always will with our coach. He's a really good coach. He can put the players in and win games. But to be as good as we were last year might be far-fetched. To go 18-0 at home, that's going to be really difficult, especially with a younger team, with having 6 seniors leave. But I would say it depends on the schedule, but rebuilding is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, and rebuilding is really a tough term to say, just because, like Mitchell stated, Coach McFatrick's smart, knows the game, knows how to coach it well, and you do have some very amazing players coming back. And Heather Schnars, she's only a sophomore, and that player from the beginning, since her freshman season, first time I ever saw her, just so much power whenever she goes for a kill attempt. so much power when serving, and she's just an amazing player overall. She's got 54 serving aces on the season, 383 kills. That's a player that you can rally your team behind. She's coming into her junior season. She's definitely going to be a leader in the program, along with Shelby Behringer, who is going to be a senior next year. And you know that she's going to be, very important to the program, especially because back there, she's really good at digs and stuff like that. And then you've got Fulani Pettis, who didn't really see as much playing time as she could have. I know against Stephen F. Austin, she had an ankle injury, and it was a game that the team didn't even really need her because they destroyed Stephen F. Austin in the first place. But Fulani Pettis seems like a very good player, someone who's very passionate and very powerful also. It's a rebuilding year, but I don't think they're going to struggle that much in the Southland Conference. I do see them winning the Southland Conference in volleyball one more time. I don't see them going undefeated in Southland Conference play, and I see them struggling against tougher opponents like Kansas, or if they play at Penn State or someone like that. But as Mitchell said before, McFatrick knows what he's doing. When that schedule's put together, they're going to put them against some really tough opponents, put them in some hostile environments, and force them to play as a team so they start to get that teamwork together.
The question is, what's a rebuilding year for UCA? I mean, a rebuilding year for UCA might be a great season for another team, because a rebuilding year would be not going 18-0 at home, 10-1 on the road. So a rebuilding year might be a really good year. You never know. And we do have some really good players coming back. I mean, Heather Snars, like you talked about, all Southland first team, ranks 9th in the nation in aces per set. So definitely we have a really good team coming back, just not the senior leadership that we had with this past team. So I don't think that it's going to be way off of what it was. I don't think we're going to be bad. I think we'll be at the top tier of the conference still, just not as good as we were this past year. But we'll probably lose definitely a couple of more games than we did this year. Maybe look to it close to the 10 range. I would be surprised if we lost more than 10, depending on what the schedule is. So it's going to be a fun year to watch with all these young players.
I would be completely blown away if we lost more than 10 games. And that's including non-conference schedule and everything else in between, because I just don't see this caliber of team, even though it is technically a rebuilding year and you expect them to lose a few more games. I would not expect them to even come close to losing 10 games. Losing Jessica Nagy is a big deal. She's not the well-known player like a Marissa Collins or a Scout Brooks that everyone talks about all the time, but you have to understand that we know that McFatrick is going to put his players in the right position, and a rebuilding year for UCA, like you said, could be an amazing year for another program. I just don't see them losing 10 games. I don't see that being possible with the caliber of athletes that have been recruited for the volleyball program and the caliber of athletes that are remaining in the program.
I agree. Well, the 2014 schedule hasn't been released yet, but what do you hope to see Coach McFatrick do with the schedule?
I just hope that he keeps playing bigger schools like Kansas, Penn State, Marquette. Just get the team playing in tournaments away from home. Just get them a lot of experience playing these top schools, because McFatrick wants to get back into the tournament. He doesn't want to use the word rebuild. He wants this team to continue to grow, continue to get better, and to continue to play these big schools, so when they get to the tournament, they can actually win a game or a couple and make a big run like the basketball teams do, the smaller basketball schools do. So look for them to play these bigger schools, hopefully early in the year before conference start play.
Yeah, I agree completely. And not only does playing those big schools prepare your team for tournament competition, but it also gets your eye out there in front of recruits. They know that you play these bigger schools. They know that you're going against the competition that these athletes dream of going against when they're in high school, and even before then when they're playing rec league volleyball and stuff like that. And so I would love to see some really big names on that schedule, but I would actually like to see them go either a little further north and actually play up there, or a little bit further in the west to get some of that talent out there, because as you and I both know, McFatrick has been looking at some talent from California. There's a young lady that was deciding between Central Arkansas and UCLA at one point, and that's great for the university, that's great for the program, because that means that Central Arkansas is a top-tier program, and a lot of athletes are looking forward to playing for a coach like McFatrick. And it's nice to see that he's still here also, because he probably could have easily gone somewhere else, but that's a little bit off topic. I would like to see bigger teams, like you said, but I would like to see a few bigger teams also come to Central Arkansas and play the Sugar Bears in the Prince Center, just to see if they can pull that kind of caliber team here. and see what the Bears can do in front of a home crowd against a team like a Penn State or a Kansas. Because as you and I both know, the Prince Center gets pretty packed for Sugar Bear volleyball, and it'd be nice for them to play a higher caliber team like that in front of a home crowd. It might ease them a little bit and make them a little more comfortable. And who knows what could happen when the Sugar Bears are actually comfortable against a Penn State or a Purdue or a Marquette.
It would be nice to get the defending national championship Penn State to UCA, but that's going to be a long shot definitely because you have to pay them a lot of money. But I think big teams would be kind of scared to come here and play, especially with the 18-0 record. The Prince Center is such a magical place to play for the Sugar Bear volleyball team. They didn't lose a game there last year. It gets so loud. It's such a tight environment. The seats are really close to the court. It's a fun place to watch volleyball. So hopefully, maybe we can get some bigger caliber teams to play here. Just as long as they keep playing bigger caliber teams and don't play those lower caliber teams like UAPB or anybody else. If they keep playing big schools, they'll continue to grow and continue to get better, and that's the only way to look at it.
It's like a Cameron Indoor for college volleyball.
That atmosphere is awesome. Particularly with men's basketball, we've seen them play sub-D1 schools during their non-conference schedule, and we've been talking this whole show about non-conference scheduling. How much of effect has that had on the success of this team over the past 3 years?
I feel like it's had a ton of huge effect on the way the program has grown, and I think it has a huge effect on the way that the players have grown as individuals and as competitors, simply because, like we've said this entire program, you're playing against a team that is technically a higher caliber than you. You're playing against a program that has a lot more money. The facilities with those programs are going to be a little bit bigger. They've got things that help their athletes grow stronger and faster than you would expect, a smaller Division I school like Central Arkansas. But to go out there and face those bigger opponents and actually play well against them or even win those games, it's got to do great for the psyche of the program, and it's got to give those athletes a lot of confidence going into the lesser Division I opponents or, into your conference schedule. And if it's working for UCA volleyball, then maybe the basketball team should step up and do it, because it's also worked for the football team in the past couple of years, playing bigger opponents and harder opponents. When you get down to the conference schedule and you're playing these technically lesser teams, it seems like nothing. It's like a walk on the field. It's like a walkthrough Friday before a game. So I think that playing bigger and better opponents is great.
But not only are they playing bigger opponents, but they're playing teams that make deep runs into the postseason. I mean, Penn State, they played them very good in the first 2 sets. Well, Penn State went on to win the national championship game. They played Purdue in the tournament. Purdue went on to make it to the Sweet 16 and lost to Wisconsin, who was the runner-up in the championship. So they played big teams, but they also played teams that are ranked. These big teams are ranked. These big teams are in huge conferences. They make it into the tournament almost every year. They have really good programs, and it's good for UCA to continue to play these teams like we talked about, just to get stronger and get better as the year goes on, or as the season goes on, because hopefully one year they can take what they learned playing these teams, take it to the tournament, and actually beat all these teams and maybe get a national championship, because they have the talent. You take these players that UCA has and put them on another team, say like a Penn State or Kansas or Purdue, I mean, I would say that they could win a championship over anybody, because we have the talent here, and we just got to overcome that adversity and win games in the tournament.
Well, I think point blank, playing the non-conference schedule that we have, it's so strong. People know who UCA is because they've played these teams and they've played them well and had some wins. So what will it take for Central Arkansas volleyball to make it 3 straight Southland Conference championships?
I think it's going to take a miracle. I mean, not really a miracle, but, I wouldn't use the word rebuilding for this year like we talked about. I know the coach doesn't want to use that. They have a lot of good players coming back, so they have the talent to do it. So I would say if we're going to, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being they do it for sure, 1 being no chance, 7 or 8, I think they definitely have a chance to do it. They have the talent there. They have the coaching there. They have the facilities to do it. I give them about an 8% chance to, doing it.
I think it's going to take all of what you said and a little bit more. Yeah. I know that there's a great coaching staff at the university. I know that there's a lot of players coming back, But you've got to look at programs like Oral Roberts in this conference. Oral Roberts is a great volleyball team. It's always a volleyball team that whenever they play Central Arkansas, there's a lot of talk about it, and you're wondering how it's going to go. And you've still got to get past the Northwesterns, and you've got to get past, even teams like Stephen F. Austin, who have decent volleyball teams and have been building their programs, and they've been getting better and better each year. And Oral Roberts knows that Central Arkansas is losing a lot of star players, and they're going to play the best they can just to prove a point like, hey, Central Arkansas is not the only volleyball team in the Southland Conference that matters. And so what it's really going to take is these new players coming into the program, buying into Coach McFatrick and their playing and the way that Central Arkansas plays volleyball, and also going to have to really lean on one another because you don't have the star setter. Shelby Behringer is a great athlete. She can do a lot. And Heather Schnarr is a great athlete, but those two can only do so much. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the Sugar Bears can do in the Southland this season. I just know it's going to be a stretch for them to win the regular season title, but I'll say that they have a strong shot at the tournament title because by the time the tournament comes around, they're going to have a lot of chemistry. They're going to be playing at their best. And so regular season title, it's going to be tough. I don't really see it happening, but I see them pulling out the tournament title.
Yeah, tournament title for sure they can win. I could see that.
After having back-to-back regular season and tournament championships, is David McFatrick the best coach on campus at Central Arkansas?
That's really hard. If you look at his resume, I would definitely say that he's got to be up there. The only other coach that I would put in consideration with him would be the baseball coach, Alan Gum. Definitely the season that he had last year with the baseball team, making it to the tournament. Just a sensational season for the baseball team. Overall, the non-conference teams that he played, he played Kansas and beat them at UCA in Conway. Definitely played some top-tier teams last year. Played Mississippi State pretty good, or beat them early in the season. So I would say that, them two, David McFadden and Alan Gum, are probably the two best coaches on the campus. You could probably throw Coach Rushing in there for the women's basketball coach, but I would definitely say that McFadden, with his resume, with how many, 3 straight, or trying to make it 3 straight this year, making it to the tournament, winning the regular season and the tournament title for the Southland Conference last year, he's a pretty darn good coach, and I would say he's probably at the top. If not the top one, I'd give him second behind Gum.
I would honestly say that McFatrick is the best coach at Central Arkansas, simply because I've personally seen the way he interacts with his athletes, and I've seen how much they respect him. And being a great coach doesn't come from just winning games. It doesn't come from just winning conference titles. It's the way that you can interact with your athletes and how much they respect you or are willing to follow your plan. And if you look at all of the coaches on campus, his athletes are willing to do whatever he tells them to. They're willing to go the extra mile for him. And that's what makes a great coach, in my opinion. And when you are that type of coach, you can win title after title after title and cycle through new talent and still make it work out for you. And so he's easily my choice for best coach on campus. Not to mention, obviously, coaching changes happen a lot at Central Arkansas lately. So McFatrick,
let's hope we can keep him around. I guess I'm just a little baseball biased. I would say Gum's really good. And I guess we can throw the women's basketball coach.
Gum
Rushing.
is good. He got Central Arkansas Southland Conference tournament title, took him to the NCAA tournament, which is great.
Yeah. Maybe next year we might have 2 new coaches to talk about, especially with the new basketball and head football coach. But that's an interesting topic to talk about, who is the best coach on campus at UCA, no matter what sport. Because I think in a couple of years we'll have at least 4 coaches or 5 coaches that can either go to.
Yeah.
Well, wrapping up this show, can you guys give me one bold prediction for Central Arkansas volleyball in 2014?
Easy. They don't lose the home game. Just like last year, they won 18-0. I'm just going to go out there and, that's pretty bold. I would say that I honestly think that they could probably drop a couple, but if we're going to be bold here, I think they have the team to do it. They have the talent. So I'm going to go ahead and say that they don't lose the home game next year.
All right. That's a tough bold prediction to beat there. Man. Didn't hold anything back, did you?
No, I definitely think they could do it. I'm trying to go out in with a bang.
I guess I'm going to go a little bit bolder. I'm going to give 2 bold predictions.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to say that Heather Schnarr is your Southland Conference Player of the Year.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that the Sugar Bears make it past the first round in the NCAA tournament.
That's very bold.
I can see one of those being probable, but
Hey man, I got to go 50-50.
Yeah, I understand. Making it past the first round of the tournament with next year's team is That's a pretty bold prediction because they had a hard. I mean, they obviously couldn't do it this past year's team, but do it
It's
next
almost
year's
as
team.
bold as going undefeated at home in this conference.
So I mean, it'll be an exciting year to watch, and hopefully they can do both of those, if not all three of them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for watching this edition of Channel 6 Scoreboard. Be sure to tune into all of our other shows this summer.